Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 19 of The Creative Pause. My name is Susan Padron, and I am here with my co-host, who I will allow to introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Stacey Faye. It's good to be with you all today on Earth Day, the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. We always start our episode by letting you know why we're here. Obviously you're here for smudging and Ilia. However, we're also here each of these days to provide a moment of respite and calm and creativity during this time where you may not have it at any other part of the day. So we hope that these episodes offer you a little bit of that pause. And we also start out each episode by asking how we're doing, because we know we're all doing differently day to day and maybe even hour by hour, and it can be helpful to hear from others and just to talk through that. So we'll start there of how are we all doing? Those who are there listening in, if you want to write in over chat a word or just a sentence or anything you'd like about how you're doing, or say it aloud or journal it, it can be really helpful. And I'll share how I'm doing first. So my day today is better than the past couple. So if you've been tuning in, I've had a rough week as I lead up to birthing my second child. I'm only a couple weeks out from that. So it's sort of like, it's happening any day now. So I've had a rough week, but today I made sure to get outside and, talk to my son about Earth Day. I have a long history of doing environmental work. Even though I'm a jeweler now, it's actually not my training. My training's in ecology. And so it's a special day for me. And so I wanted to make it special for him too. And I made sure we got outside and we played outside and we talked about Earth Day. And I made sure to wear a bright necklace with a bird on it. This is actually something I made like 20 years ago. It's like old Stacey Faye design story. So I'm trying to evoke that, like the environmental youth person in me. And so it was a good day from that perspective of just trying to stay more in the moment and just appreciate what nature gives us in this time, which is a bit of calm and happiness and stability. So that's how I'm doing today. How are you, Susan?
Doing okay. Today I think originally had the potential of being kind of crazy and hectic with certain things that I needed to get done. And it went smoother than I had anticipated. And that's put me in a better headspace throughout the day. I love the fact that it's sunny and blue skies, even though it's a little chilly too. That just cheers me up. And I've had a lot of good conversations today that have put me in a better mood also. And of course, I'm happy to be here with you, Stacey, and with Ilia again, and with everybody that's here watching live. I'm really looking forward to all of that too. So yeah, feeling like I'm in a pretty good place today, which is exciting. So Ilia, how are you, my dear?
Hello. I am, let's see, today I'm actually doing really well. I feel really good. Last week, I didn't feel that great. So last week was really hard. And so I was really happy to kind of come through whatever that was that I needed to come through to be in this place this week. I feel very good. So, those kind of waves are definitely coming through. The corona wave, definitely comes in at different moments. So I feel really good today. So I'm happy.
Yay. Well, I'm glad that you're having a good day. And yeah, I think what Stacey and I have definitely noticed is that some days are better than others, some weeks are better than others, for sure. So yeah, the corona wave is no joke. In terms of the corona emotional wave, I guess I should say, is no joke. And it seems like we have some people who are participating in the chat, and it seems like we have people here who are having good days and doing well too, which is great. It's something that I think should all just allow ourselves to feel and to honor, especially during these times where it's just a little bit crazy. So what I would love to do next is share the quote that Ilia shared with us. So I'm going to do a little screen share. Get that going. Give my computer a second to catch up. There we go. Yay. And I know that this is Ilia's one of Ilia's favorite quotes of all time, which I also love. And the quote says, "It's never too late to be what you might have been." And that is by, whoops, not that quote. Sorry about that. Letting people into our conversation, but it's by George Eliot. So, Ilia, can you share with us why you love this quote so much? Like what it is that's just really resonated with you?
Yes, I have so much to say about this quote. So first off, this quote has been with me for years and years and years. And one of the reasons why I love this quote so much is because it applies no matter what is going on in life. So whether you are at your highest of your highs, it applies and you're like, yes, I'm going for it. It's never too late to be what I might have been. I'm going for it. And when you're feeling really low, it applies. And it's like, all right, it's never too late to be what I might have been. Like, and I'm not even kidding. This quote has saved me so many times. I write this quote down everywhere. I have it in Post-its. I put it in sock drawers. I put it in my glove compartment in my car. I put it everywhere so that it surprises me at like the most random moment, exactly when I needed to see it or exactly when I needed to hear it. It'll just like come out of a sock, and I'm so happy about it. So I highly recommend, taking your favorite quote, whatever it is, and just putting it in secret places, because it is so fun when you find it. And this one, it's never steered me wrong. It's always lifted my spirit or motivated me. So I've always loved it. And then recently I decided that I'm going to have this tattooed on me. And of course, I had to make sure that this George Eliot dude was okay, because I'm like, if I'm going to do this, like, I need to like get some more history about good old George. And so I learned a super fun fact about George Eliot, that George Eliot is actually a pen name, and the woman was from the 1800s. I forget her name at this moment, but I will send it to you. But she's from the 1800s, and she was a writer, and so that was her pen name because she wasn't allowed to use her name and actually get published and things like that. So that just like put me over the edge, and I was like, I love this quote even more. So there's lots of goodness with this quote.
Yeah, and I think considering the fact that the three of us who are speaking today are all women who had major career shifts, throughout our adult lives, right? Like, I think that it can definitely connect and resonate with all three of us. And I'm sure even more women who are listening or watching today too, or men, anybody. It's a really inspiring quote. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Sure.
So now, and Missy says Mary Ann Evans.
Oh, thank you, Miss.
Yeah, thanks, Missy. So now I get the pleasure of more formally introducing Ilia. She has been on our show once before on our very first episode. We were honored to feature her then, where she did a beautiful grounding meditation with us. And Ilia is a healer. She does energy work, past life regression therapy, sound therapy. Speaking of sound therapy, I don't know if you can hear my dog whimpering in the background because he wants to be let out of my office right now. The one time I actually allow one of my pets into my office when we're recording, and they proved to me that it's not a good idea. So I'll be letting him out shortly, but not during Ilia's introduction. And Ilia is just a wonderful, magical human being that I'm grateful to have in my life. I'm so excited that she is back on our show again to talk about smudging today. And I mean, I feel like the universe was totally in alignment with having her episode be on Earth Day. There's a new moon tonight, and my like beautiful new like sage bundle came today too, which I was like, oh, it's all in alignment. It's so perfect. So anyway, we're so happy to have Ilia here, and I will hand it off to you, my dear. It's all you.
Yay, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here to talk about smudging. I think it's really important for us to be doing right now, especially while we are all in our homes. And um, if you have other people in your home, it's especially important too, not just for yourself, but for everyone. And so I'm just going to talk about some really like basic tools that I think people are familiar with. And if you aren't, you can definitely feel free to type a question in the chat and I will do my best to answer them. But so some of the things that you'll see right off the bat is you'll always see sage, and that's usually what people are pretty familiar with. And some other ones that you'll see are maybe Palo Santo. We're going to talk about this a little bit more. Sweetgrass is lovely. That's another one that you'll see. And you'll usually also see like an Abilene shell, and we'll talk about that a little bit more too. Um, but the reasons why we smudge is we smudge to clear our energy. So whether we're clearing the energy of our physical body or we're clearing the energy of a space, we use the smoke as a way to create that clearing. And so part of it is like the whole transition, the whole process of smudging is about transformation. And when we're talking about spirituality, you know, the smoke from smudging is what connects us to our spirit. So there's all these different steps in it that we could go into a lot more detail on, but I just want you to think about the idea of transformation and when you're smudging, you're transforming the space, you're transforming your energetic field, whatever your intention is behind that. Behind what you're smudging that day. You can even smudge, you know, I have oracle decks right next to me. You can smudge oracle decks, you can smudge your crystals, you can smudge your pets, you can smudge it all. And I highly recommend doing all of those things. But when it comes to smudging, when you go to cleanse your energetic body, there's a few different ways that you can do it. And I'm actually going to use Palo Santo because I have sage with me right now. It's white sage. And actually, my husband doesn't love the smell of this. So you'll find that there's going to be certain ones that you might be like, oh, that's the one that everyone's using. And I want to use that too. But if you don't like the smell of it, don't use it. There's definitely so many that you can choose from. And so don't get stuck on what you think you should have, especially right now. The one thing right now that I think is really important is you can use things that are in your cabinet right now. You can use anything that you like the smell of. Sometimes you can use orange peels. If you let them sit on your counter and you dry them, you can use, if you have, I don't know if anyone has lavender, or if you have bay leaves. Some people use bay leaves. Some people use cinnamon sticks. So these are all things that you may have in your kitchen right now. And I personally, I don't love the smell of cinnamon burning, so I don't use that one, but people do. There's a bunch of different things that you probably have if you've never smudged before, excuse me, that you can pull right from your own kitchen. And I tell everyone, you know, have fun with it. You don't have to go by any specific rules when it comes to the herb that you're choosing. Any herb, if it's an herb, chances are you can dry it and burn it. So if you like the smell of it, go for it. And go into your family history. This is always fun too. If you go into your family's history, you may find something that maybe your grandmother or your great grandmother, you know, burned around the house, or something that really smelled really nice. And you can find that same aroma or create that on your own. And that will bring you to such a beautiful place within your energy, just that remembering of that scent. So have fun with it. You don't always have to do, you know, the traditional sage, which is perfect. If you love that, you can. Okay, so the way that you do it, I'm going to light Palo Santo, and I'm going to talk about Palo Santo because a little bit further, because it is Earth Day. And so Palo Santo is actually an herb or a tree. It stands for sacred wood. That's what it means. And because the spirituality movement is taking on so much speed, people are cutting these trees down at an alarming rate. And so I personally have decided to no longer purchase Palo Santo. So I'm using it in more sacred times and more for sacred ceremonies. I'm only using what I have. I'm not purchasing any more at this moment. But because of the pandemic and the situation that we're in, I'm bringing in the big guns, and I do use it right now because of the energetic needs that I personally feel like I want to use it, and this is a good time to use it. But I'm not encouraging people to buy it right now. There are a few sustainable places that you can go to. I know Mountain Rose Herbs, they are growing the trees sustainably and being really responsible. So around Palo Santo. So this is a big one that you will see a lot of. But again, if you haven't purchased it, please go to somewhere like Mountain Rose Herbs, or don't use this specific one anymore. And so when we're talking about smudging and we're talking about transformation, that's really what's happening, right? You're taking that physical form, that object or that herb, and you're lighting it. And this is where the transformation begins. Let me make sure you guys can see that, right? Where we're taking something earth-bound, an herb, we're transforming it with fire. So much of a sacred ceremony is about fire. The fire that our spirit needs to go through to create the smoke, right? Because that's the transformation. And then once you have the smoke going, you know, I like to start at my heart. I'm sitting on something that's going to be, I like to start at my heart. And then if you're clearing your physical body, you can kind of connect your heart's energy just with intention. Energy goes where you send it. So all you need is a good intention to send your energy through. And then I like to move it and bring it above my head and then move it down my body. I like to go under both of my feet, and then I bring it up and around back to the top of my head and then back to my heart space. And that's how I clear my energy. For my husband, I have him stand like this and I clear his energy, and that I do front and back. So if you're doing it for someone else, you can do the front of their body, always asking them to lift their feet and going under their feet. And then you can have them turn around and do the back of their body. And then I always ask them to turn back around so that I can stop at their heart space. And you can do that. The beautiful thing about Palo Santo is that it clears the negative energy, it clears any energy, but because of the properties, it also brings in positive energy. So that's really important when you're clearing a space. So you don't want to just wipe it away. You actually want to bring in energy as well to fill the space that you just cleared, so that it doesn't get full of some other gunky whatever that might be kind of lingering around. You want to fill it with good intentions. You want to fill it with positive energy. And that's really why Palo Santo is such a go-to for so many people. So I'm a little sad about switching from it, because I do love it. But some things that you can do, so sage, for example, most herbs have masculine or feminine properties. Not all have both the way that Palo Santo does. And so you can always look up whether or not your herb that you're choosing is a space clearer or a positive kind of inviter in of energy, right? So traditionally, you'll see, if you look into Native American culture, this is where smudging, some of the origins of smudging is from. And but you can find it in so many different backgrounds. It's not just there. But one of the things that I love about smudging using some of that Native American tradition is the idea behind sage and sweetgrass. So sage is a masculine, it's a space clearer. So if you are using sage and sage alone, then I always recommend that you sit in the center of your room and you invite in positive energy after. So you infuse that room with whatever it is that you want to be in that space, right? How you want to feel when you walk in, how you want people to feel. You know, maybe it's the main room of your home. How do you want people to feel when they walk in through the door? So after you clear the energy of the space, you sit in the center of the room and you invite those feelings in. You fill that space with that positive energy. Because if you only use sage, you're just clearing, right? So you want to bring in the positive. Now, if you have sage and sweetgrass, that's the traditional way that you would find it in a Native American ceremony, is sweetgrass has the feminine property. Sweetgrass has the is the one that's going to bring in the positive energy after you use this. So if you can find a bundle that has sage and sweetgrass in it, that's lovely. I'll be making those bundles like in the future, but not right now, where both are kind of in there so that you don't have to worry, because sweetgrass is kind of hard to keep burning on its own. But so I'm trying to think what else we should chat about with smudging. So those are two really important things. And then for more earthy kind of Earth Day things, an Abilene shell is something that you're always going to see as well. These are being over purchased as well. And this brings in the water element, right? So we're bringing in all of the elements when we are smudging. And so this brings in, this would be the water. So what I've done, I bought this a long time ago, so I still use it, but I don't recommend buying a new one. But what you can do is you can buy a different type of burn bowl. So this is what I use. And this is oven safe. It's heat safe. I think it's made for, someone told me that they used it for dip because I bought it at like this estate sale. Fun fact. So I could make dip in it, but I don't. But it can get heated and into a very high temperature. And that's really what you're looking for. You want something that can stand the heat of whatever you're going to put back into this so that you don't start a fire. And this one specifically, I liked because of the blue, because the idea behind the burn bowl is the water element. And so I wanted to keep with that tradition. And that's why, and this one made me feel a little like there was some water moving through it. So you can get creative. You can use what you have at home. You don't have to have the perfect bundle by any stretch. You can use what you have and get started, today. It just has to be dried though. That's the one thing. They won't burn well if you don't wait for it to be dry.
Leah, we had a question come up in the chat that says, can you burn the sweetgrass and sage at the same time, or do you have to wait till the sage is extinguished to light the sweetgrass?
No, I would say you can burn them at the same time. Yeah. And it depends on how much time you want to take. Like sometimes I just go really quickly through a room. And so you could burn them at the same time. Yeah, I think that's perfect. Yeah. If you want to take longer, then you can create a whole ceremony and do one and then close with the sweetgrass.
Yeah, something that I've been doing is like breaking off pieces of the sage and breaking off pieces of the sweetgrass and creating like a little blend in my shell and then like lighting that and then holding the shell to kind of like smudge the space. Just as like I like the smell, I like the blend, I like bringing in the the masculine and feminine energies. And that's something that you can do within like your burn bowl too. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. And that I actually love that you brought that up, because what you find is that the bundles are so big that it's actually better when you break them apart. You and then you get the opportunity to make your own, which is super cool. Yeah, you definitely can. So it's a lot of fun, and it's easier to manage. I think it's hard to, you know, get control of like such a big burner. I think I like them smaller.
Yeah, I do too, for sure. And what I've noticed too is like sometimes um, when I have pieces of sage that are like pretty charred in my like little mixture, when I go to like relight it, when I'm adding to it, sometimes those charred pieces don't create as friendly of a smell. So what I do is obviously like once they're completely cooled, I'll bring them outside and just like return them to the earth as
Yeah.
part of like the ceremony. And I don't know, it's just become like part of my ritual like during these times, and then adding more to it. But yeah, I've definitely noticed that my sage bundles and the sweetgrass have lasted for such a long time when just been like breaking pieces off as opposed to just like trying to light it from the big bundle on its own.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's really, really good for people to know, to like to break it. It doesn't have to stay wrapped. And the other thing too that I was just thinking about is people will always ask me if they need a feather, and you don't need a feather. A feather is lovely if one happens to come down and you have one, or you already have one, but you don't have to. You can just use your hand to push the smoke in the direction that you want it to go. Specifically, if it's like a bundle that's like sitting in your bowl, you can use your hand to wave it. And that's really important, because if you are doing a full cleansing of your space, you're going to want to go under furniture, and to where, you know, kind of heavier energy may get stuck, and that's like underneath things. And you definitely don't want to put a burning bundle of sage or anything, you know, under your bed. So you would just lift up, you know, if you have a bed skirt or something like that, you would lift that up and you would direct the smoke under, and that's what you would do. You would never place anything burning underneath anything.
Really, I have a question because I
Sure.
actually have never really done smudging, even though it's something I've always been interested in, which I imagine a lot of people here are are here for that reason. Do you, aside from like major cleansings or a certain ritual, are there other times that for you personally you do this that might help people to think about, oh, right, that might be a good time to do it, you know, in their own sort of day or week or life? I mean, I know right now you're probably doing it like 24 hours a day because of the pandemic, but you know, any other tips on that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely like in a smoke haze these days. But yeah, I mean, I do it pretty regularly. I always like to light something at the start of my meditation. So whether it's you know, sage or something, I always like to clear my energy. So I do it daily. You don't have to do it daily, but I like to add it as a part of that ritual for me. And I actually do it, you know, obviously we all fight with our spouses, and like, and I love, love, love to do it once we've kind of calmed down. Um, I like to do it to clear the energy of the space, because the thing with energy is that um, we leave energetic bubbles behind us or in front of us or wherever, and they're filled with emotion. And that's why sometimes you can walk into a room and be like, oh, something's not right, something happened here, you know, you immediately pick up the energy of the room even. And that's because you know, an energy bubble was left behind. So I like to clear the space after, you know, we've had a fight, or if my kids have had a really bad day, I will go and clear their bedroom. If they've had a couple of bad dreams in a row, I will clear the energy of their bedroom. I've even gone in there when they have like come in the middle of the night and been like, I had a really bad dream or something. Like, I'll go in there right then and just light a little something, and real quick because I'm tired too, but I just want to clear the energy of the space. And it's important that when you are clearing the energy of a space that you open a window or open a door so that whatever energy you are moving has an exit. But you can use it again for, just day-to-day things, and you can also use it for those really sacred ceremonies, those really sacred transitions in life are great times. The changeover of the seasons is another time that I really like to do my entire house top to bottom. Like part of spring cleaning, is shifting the energy of your home and your space. So that's a perfect time. Like if you're doing spring cleaning, it is a perfect time um, to keep that up with the actual energy of the space too.
That's really helpful. And I just have one other question, which is, and anybody else who has questions, feel free to chime in on chat.
Yeah.
Are there any other, I know a lot of people who would be interested in smudging or do smudging also maybe are interested in essential oils or crystals, or are there any other sort of elements that you typically bring into your smudging practice, or that might be linked up with a smudging ritual of some sort?
Yeah. I mean, when we get into crystals, I love, I can, all right, I'm going to step away for one sec to show it to you because it's not far. So selenite is like the ultimate kind of crystal clearer. And this is another thing that you can do to clear the energy of a space. You can clear your own energy with selenite, right? So, and the reason selenite is so perfect because for those situations when you can't burn something, you may not, if you're in a hotel or something like that, and you're like, oh, something doesn't feel right, you can use selenite. You can use like an essential oil spray, um, and they're very easy to make and they're really fun to make. I can share a little bit about that. But selenite is the perfect crystal. I tell everyone to get it because again, it clears every crystal that you own. It will clear it, and it will clear your energetic body. And you can leave it in like the four corners of your room, and you can buy really small ones and put them in four corners or the four corners of your house. Some people will put them outside of their house. Like I live in the city in Philly. I can't, I don't have anywhere outside to dig them into, unless I like dug up the concrete, but you can put them in the four corners of your house outside in your lawn if you wanted to.
Now, Ilia, you mentioned the sprays, and I know that the spray that we made at your full moon ceremony that you had for the kiddos at your house, like my little Tony still loves using it. And I think he's like mostly used up all of his, but now he uses mine, which I don't mind sharing. And I love it too that it has like the memory of the time that we had with like the full moon ceremony at your house as well.
Yeah.
And I like couldn't find mine, so I grabbed the sprays that I have by Mackenzie Flynn.
Oh, I love hers. Yeah.
And those are really great too if you don't have like the materials to make it yourself. Then Mackenzie Flynn, who I can share her info as well in the show notes. But it was funny because he was like, I don't know, this like, where are the crystals? Where's the full moon water? And I'm like, it's in there, it's in there. But he's very skeptical of them because they didn't come from you. So
Oh, he's so.
yeah, we think of you very highly.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, those are really, if anyone has like essential oils at home, you can make your own spray with like a spray bottle. And it's simple. I like to Susan was talking about, leave the water out for a full moon. There's a new moon today, so you could ride the new moon energy. You just take water, put it on your windowsill, and let the energy of the moon absorb into it, and then you use that water for your spray. And if you have any essential oils, whichever ones that you gravitate towards, just depending on how much water you're putting in. So if you have like a 2-ounce bottle, you could put 2 drops of what we used. What did we use? We used sweet orange and lavender.
Lavender.
Yeah. And so you put 2 drops of each, and that makes a kid safe spray. But you don't want to put it on your skin. That's just for the air. And that one's really simple. And if you have some crystals, you can put that in and shake it. And then Mackenzie Flynn has a legit beautiful line, and you can actually get that at Whole Foods. So you can order, if you're ordering from Whole Foods and they're delivering, you may be able to scoop that up through that. And I can see if her website's well, you can, you'll put it in the notes, right? But I love all of her stuff, and she is local in Philly, and really puts in a lot of thought into her products. So I love her stuff.
Yeah, I know that Ilia and I have both used sprays when we've been traveling
Yeah.
in hotel rooms and all sorts of things. It's just become like a habit to bring some kind of cleansing spray like that. Just because, especially in like a hotel or like a shared space where like you walk into it and I mean, if you're susceptible to picking up on those energies, or even if you're not, sometimes they just have that like funk that I know that Ilya could describe better than I could. But being able to walk in, just like do a little bit of smudging with a spray can just help to neutralize that and to just allow it to be more of like your space and bring in the positive or welcome in the positive.
Yeah. Yeah. And hotels are perfect time for the sprays because, like you said, you're walking into someone else's stuff, and also whoever was, taking care of the room and turning things over. And so there's lots of energy in hotel rooms. So definitely bring sprays because they usually don't like if you burn stuff. Don't ask me how I know.
That's amazing. I'm just like envisioning, smoke detectors.
I know. And the funny thing is, like, sometimes like sage always smells like pot. So it's like, no, I'm like cleansing the energy. Come on. Yeah.
I remember the first time that I used sage in our house, Tony totally thought that I just like lit up in the house. I was like, no,
Yeah.
smudging.
I know, especially white sage. It really smells like pot.
Yeah.
And that one your neighbors might they might come over. They might, I mean, they might come over, they might look at you funny, but either way, it smells like pot.
So any like final thoughts, parting words about smudging or about cleansing in general that you'd like to share with us before we wrap up today?
Yeah, I would say, like, don't get too caught up in having the perfect set of things in order to get started. You have things in your kitchen right now that you can use, so go experiment, go see with what you have. Right. So don't worry if you don't have the perfect sage bundle, or you don't need that to get started. But your energy you'll feel so different once you just even do a once around of your body. Right. And the more in depth for like a room, you would sit in the center of your room and kind of go to all 4 corners. That'll change the energy of the space really quickly. You don't have to have anything super perfect. You can just get started.
And Ilia, you also have an online course, Spiritually Curious, right, where you go into like even more detail about smudging and crystals and all of the things. Do you want to share about that real quick too?
Yeah, so the online course is at spirituallycurious.com. We're actually going through the clairs right now. And then I have 2 workshops within that, and I'm adding more. But one is about chakras and auras and energy fields. And then the other one is about smudging and pendulums and like how to use a pendulum. So that one I'm probably going to be, those 2 I'll be offering as weekend workshops coming up soon. So I haven't picked the dates yet, but I'll let you know when I do. And that way, if people wanted to do that, they can sign up. But we're going to do it online because we're all online.
Yay. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing all of the wonderful knowledge on smudging and just, giving us more insight into just, beyond the like sage and Palo Santo that, for people who are a little bit familiar with smudging are probably more limited to. I thought of a quick question too before we like say goodbye. Has rosemary sometimes used too for smudging?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it has some beautiful properties. So if you gravitate towards that, you can definitely use rosemary. Again, any herb you can use, you just want to dry it. It takes a couple of days. So even if you have it in your fridge because you were going to make something, like pull off a piece of it and keep the rest and just let that dry, and then you can burn it. Basil, so many herbs are sitting in your drawer waiting for you to burn them. They're all there.
For those of us that, want to like do some smudging while we're cooking, you can, have like your burn bowl in the kitchen. Just don't add that to what you're making. That might be interesting.
Not after it's burned. It'll be,
Be pretty gross. But
but it's a good way to experiment and to see what smells you like. So, because some things you're going to burn, and no matter what the meaning behind it is, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't take that. And so you're not going to work with that. But other things you're going to burn and be like, where has this been all my life? And you're going to want that. So the kitchen is a great way to find out what those things are.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll include all of the wonderful resources that you shared with us in the show notes and on our website, and the wonderful ways that people can get in touch with you. That will be through your website and through Instagram.
Yeah, so Instagram is at spiritually.curious, and so that's Instagram, and then my website is where you can read all about me, and you can even schedule for your own energy clearing, because I do that from a distance as well. So chakra readings and energy clearings and all that stuff. And I do home clearings too, actually, but I forgot.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ilia. This, my pregnant self who's been very stuck is like, oh, I need to totally sage my space or cleanse rather. And I have some lavender on the property, like that's at our house. I'm like, oh, I need to try that too. That would be lovely, I'm sure.
Oh, it would be perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I know for me, it's really helpful. And I think for everybody else who listened in also. So thank you so much, Ilia. It's so good to have you. And this recording will be up later as well. So, and for posterity's sake, so you can always check in if you want a reminder of what Ilia talked about today, or the ways that she does smudging. So thank you so much. And we always end our show with the same quote, which is from a Mary Oliver poem. And that quote is, "What will you do with your one wild and precious life?" So thank you everybody so much for being here. We will see you again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And I believe tomorrow is with the Wondersmith. Is that right?
Yeah. Tomorrow's going to be with Miss Wondersmith.
Yes, and Miss Wondersmith will talk about how to keep the magic in your life. And she's a pretty magical person herself. So we highly recommend tuning in. So thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.